Well, welcome back, hi mates. How are you all doing? If you are new to the channel, welcome, and if you want to be a koi mate, subscribe. Everyone's welcome, more the merrier, and it really helps me out as well. So if you can subscribe to the channel. Let's get the shades back on. Absolutely glorious weather, absolutely fantastic, really enjoying it. And something I'm getting asked of quite a lot with a lot of people at the moment is, what do I do different in the summer with the pond? So I'll just run you through a couple of things what I do different. Now, I make sure my UV is on. There's a lot of sunlight at the moment, and although I got the protective pergola, I got that piece out, you still get quite a bit of sun on the front, so I do need to get my UV on. Now I got a 75 UV on there, which seems to do the job quite nicely. The other thing I do, I turn my pump up to 90%. I've got a 20,000 vary pump on the bottom drain. I put that up to 90%, and I've also got the shower. I don't know if you can see the shower running there in the background. I get the shower, I turn that pump up to 90%, and again that's got a 20,000 pump. It's coming off the skimmer, so she's going over on there. I do start putting clay in. I only use clay water conditioner in the summer. I don't really see the point in the winter myself of using it, but that's just my opinion, and that's what I do. Most importantly is feeding. Now I will run through some feeding guides with you shortly, because that's really important, and it all depends what you're after. Are you just trying to condition your fish, or are you trying to grow your fish? What sort of temperatures have you got in your pond, etc, etc. There's quite a bit of stuff to know, so I will run that by you. So let me just spin you around. So one of the things that I'm going to do first, as you know, I've got an auto feeder there. Now I've currently got it set to feed 4 times a day. There's a various amount of settings on it. It is the superfish one, which is a sort of a reasonable budget sort of feeder. I haven't had any issues with it at all. I've got 6mm pellets in there at the moment, which is the Kasuri growth that I've put in there. Now with this feeder you can actually set, like a lot of them, how much grams it actually puts out per feed. So what I'm going to do first of all is set it a go and take a measurement, and then we can see exactly how many grams are coming out in one feed. Right then, so what I've done, I've measured out one serving, which is 21.3. Look, I don't know if you can see it there. So that's one serving, which is that much. So that's what's coming out with one feed. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to have to calculate exactly how many of them are going in a day, and is it enough for my fish. So that's what I'm going to do now. I'm going to have to put it down. I'm going to get my calculator going. My brain isn't that good, so I'm going to work out exactly what one feed is giving the fish, and how many times a day I need to do it, or do I need to up that amount. So I will get back to you. Right, so I've worked out what I'm putting in. So I've got my feeder set. So I've got almost, say, less 22 grams per feed. I've got it running, feeds 9 times a day. So starts at 7 o'clock in the morning. It's feeding every 2 hours up until 11 p.m. So that's about 198 grams in total at the moment they're having. On temps on 20. Feeding the JPD Shorai, which is the growth. It's a cracking food. It's got built-in colour with it as well, so it is a real good food. I'm noticing growth already this year. Now, it's very difficult when you've got different size fish in the pond, and you don't always know which ones are eating most, which ones are not having so much. I mean, they fight for food, as you know. Sometimes the little ones are a little bit quicker getting to the feeder, so like I say, it's a job to be 100% sure exactly what fish are eating what. But I will run through the professional sort of recommendation, which obviously, you know, that, like I say, that's what the professionals recommend, but I will run through it by you. But this is what I'm currently doing. I've run out now of mealworm. There's hardly any left, so I need to pick up a new one. I do like to give them a bit of mealworm in between, and sometimes I'll cut up an orange or you know, a bit of watermelon or something like that. So they sometimes get, you know, other snacks as well. But like I say, one of the things you have got to make sure the other thing I do when I do start up in my feeding again, I do check my parameters, because you can get a spike if things are not working too well. You know, you can get you need to check your ammonia and your nitrate, and if things are working, take it up steadily, you know, don't just bang it up, think, oh, I'm going to feed, I'm currently feeding 50 grams, I'm going to whack it up to 100, you know, don't do that. Put it up maybe to 75, keep an eye on your parameters, give it another week or two, and then move it up, if you know what I mean. Don't just decide, right, I'm going to whack it up to this, because your filters may not keep up. But once they stabilize, you know you're fine then. So, well, that's what I do, and like I say, I will run through the industry sort of recommendations. I get my clay in now. That's the clay I use, it's the Shorai clay. I find it really good. I haven't put any in yet, so it'll be the first time this year. Been slacking a bit because I'm, if you've seen my other latest video, I'm building the nice little setup in my garage. I'm hoping to grow on some fish, so that's going on as well. I'm quite excited about that. It's some people say it's more fun than your main pond, so we'll see. Anyway, I'm waffling a bit, so I'm going to get that clay in, and then I'll run these other feeding recommendations by you. Right guys, so I've worked it out. So what I need to do is get 2 servings out. So I'll be having just over 40 grams in each serving. So I'm going to feed them 40 grams 5 times a day, because the water temp is at 20 plus in this nice weather. So that's what I'm going to do, set it to that and feed them that accordingly. Now, when you are making any type of adjustment to your food, don't forget, you know, do it slowly, do it over, you know, maybe a week or fortnight period, because your filter system may not be able to keep up and you could get a spike. So I'd recommend you do it slowly, and then keep an eye on your parameters, your ammonia and your nitrite particularly, and make sure that, you know, they're holding fine for you. It's a bit sunny here and a bit of a glare. Anyway, so going back to what I was saying earlier about what the professionals do, I've got a guide which is, you know, is what they try and follow, and it's basically, so if you've got a tozai, which, in case you don't know, a tozai is a 1-year-old koi. What you need to do with that is feed 1% of body weight to maintain its health and natural growth. That's at 16 to 18 degrees temperature in your water, in your pond. If you want to go for maximum growth, then you can feed 4% of its body weight, and that will give maximum growth, but you only do that if your temps are 24 to 26 degrees. Okay, you don't want to be doing it if your temps are not up to there. So this side, exactly the same, but you only feed 3% for maximum growth. So slightly less, only 3% of its body weight. And then Sansai, which are 3-year-old, comes down to 2.5% for maximum growth. But remember, that's at 24 to 26 degrees. And then Yonsei and older, which I've got quite a few Yonsei in here, they go down then to 2%. You could feed them a bit more, but they lose the body line a bit if you know, if you overfeed them. So I wouldn't recommend it. You know, when you've got your younger ones, it's fine. But some of the, you know, like these are, you know, well older than Yonsei. You know, so I wouldn't do that for definite with them. But basically, and what you've got to remember with this temperature, and I'll tell you something else. If you 16 degrees, I would only feed 2 times a day. Okay, 18 degrees, you'll get away with 4 times a day, and then 20 degrees, 5 times a day won't be a problem. 22 degrees, you can go up to 6 times a day. It's 24, you can go 8 feeds a day. And if you're on the magic 26, you can feed 12 times a day. But like I say, that's when you give in the, you know, the body weight measurement. If you're just feeding them little amounts, you can feed them, you know, many times a day, but obviously you're not giving the right amount of food. You know, I often put mealworm on here in between, don't get me wrong, I give them a little snack of mealworm or something like that as well. But I will set my feeder now exactly what I want to do at the 20 degrees, so it's going to feed 5 times a day, and it's going to be around about the 40 grams per serving. And then if my temps start to drop, if the weather isn't as nice as it is now, we haven't got all this blue sky and warm water, I'll go down to 4 feeds a day. But like I say, I may give a bit of mealworm or some watermelon, you know, little snacks like that. That's not a problem, you can do that. They've hammered my lilies this year, absolutely hammered. I think it's his fault. Since he's been in there, he's destroying my lilies. Anyway, hope that gives you a bit of an insight, guys. I know I rammed it on a bit, waffled with it, but yeah, you know, that is what the professionals tend to stick by, or thereabouts. I'm going to put a clip up next. I moved a couple of my fish on. I'll show you them in the bowl where they were going. Spray bar's off down there at the moment. Got that old whack t-shirt. When I'm throwing out old t-shirts or something, I tend to just keep them either to use in the garbage or as rags, you know, behind you when you're doing your cleans and things like that. So, but I was looking in the pond and I was thinking, what's that red thing down the bottom? I couldn't make out what it was. It was that bloody t-shirt. There you go, koi mates. 3 crackers in there. All on their way to their new home. That sank, I tell you what. Nice fish. But anyway, made a decision and those 3 are going. So hope the new owner is going to look after them with the care and, you know, the consideration that I've done with them. But yeah, so I've got to bag them up, guys, and they're on their way. That's what I meant to show you as well. Picked up the big blue. It's the biggest one they do. I got the char on there as well, just to get rid of the metals. So when I put that on the trickle, it should be work much better than those little 3-stage ones I got there. My mate Oki, when he came round, he was rolling at them. He said, that's never gonna stop chlorine, anything, you know, no matter how, unless you trickle it out at such a slow rate. Probably would take a month to put a couple of litres in. Media bubbling away, lovely. Anyway, guys, I hope you enjoyed this video and you find what I said about the feeding useful. Just bear in mind your temperatures, and if you haven't got a temperature gauge in your pond, I'd recommend the ink bird that I use. It's really good, and it's got a little gauge you can keep in the house as well, so you can in the winter it's good because you can look at the pond temps inside. So I'd recommend one of them. But anyway, for now, guys, as always, all the best, and if you can, hit that subscribe button, become a koi mate, you're more than welcome. And don't forget, if you've missed it, have a look at my sleeper pond build that I'm doing. Have a little look at that. Anyway, for now, guys, all the best.